Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Think Tank Sports. Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen. Check us out on the socials if you would be so kind: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen to us on Anchor or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch these two glorious bastards here on YouTube, because we continue to do that. Show you our ugly mugs or whatever they are. Yeah, so here we are. We're back. We just got through the NFL's divisional round. Pardon us if we're not thoroughly bouncing off the walls with excitement. Our teams, well, there were two games that were kind of close, and there were two games that were not. Guess which games our teams played in? The ones that were not close. And we'll get to that, but it's not just solid, sorry old Bills fan here on this side. On the other side is a sorry, sad old Giants fan. Mike, how's it going?
I'm okay, buddy. There's a old saying that's been going around lately. Don't be sad it's over. Be happy because it happened.
Okay.
Probably more in my camp this year than yours, I would think.
Probably
based on the expectations. So we'll get to those games chronologically. Forgive us for not being on that last week with we had some health issues and circumstances of life, but we're back. And so if we were recording last Monday day, we would have been super excited. Our team played very well on Super Wild Card Weekend.
Yep.
My team took out a fraudulent Vikings team. That everyone, it was one of those weird deals where everyone was on it and everyone predicted it, and it still happened. Like usually, when everyone zags, it zags, but not this time. And you guys eliminated a division opponent. And while you didn't play your best game, you certainly felt like your clunker was behind you, and turns out that it wasn't. But again, we'll get into that. We are on all of the social medias, and today we put up a poll asking which quarterback is the best quarterback remaining in these NFL playoffs. 4 quarterbacks are Mahomes, Burrow, Brock Purdy, and Jalen Hurts. I think probably sarcastically very early in the voting day, Brock Purdy leading the voting with 50%. So we definitely have a sense of humor. So just to take our tens of fans down a peg, last week we asked which wildcard game was going to be more entertaining, and the poll said that the Cowboys-Bucks game, which turned out to be the least entertaining of the 8 that we had.
Yeah.
So don't add us at yourselves on that one, folks. Before we get into all the games and our reactions, I got to start here because you and I both like, you went to a communication school, and I just kind of like the history of broadcasting and have grown up, with that as an important thing in my life. Did you see this debacle they're going to have on next week, Dave, with your boy Mad Dog Chris Russo reunited with the sports pope Mike Francesa, and in the middle, just to mediate, Mr. Calm, Cool, and Collected Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, no, I have not seen this.
Only on First Take. They're going to bring them together, the 3 of them, and it's going to be a old-fashioned screaming match, I would guess. Wouldn't you think?
At least by 2 of them.
At least, and if Francesa stays awake, he might get into the conversation too.
And then, folks, if you have not gone and seen the Mike Francesa falling asleep on WFAN, go look it up. It's hilarious. Yeah. He clearly falls asleep. I don't care what he says. Anyways, move on. Or continue.
He just, Mike and the Mad Dog. One of the, I think, interesting 30 for 30s they did, but the least rated because it's just regional. It's a regional story.
Yeah.
And nobody. West of Philly probably cares one way or the other. So, but for us, since our podcast is in the Great Northeast, could be an interesting watch. And I know you still follow Mad Dog.
Yeah. I listen to him regularly. Yep.
So let's go back to the first game Saturday this past weekend, Dave, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs off the bye, coming in and playing a team that a lot of people had, on upset alert and playing well with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence certainly on the heels of the big comeback against the Chargers the week before.
Yep.
On a roll and renewed vigor for his Hall of Fame campaign, I guess, because we certainly put a gold coat on that kid before he earned a stitch. But the game got real interesting real quick. Not how we thought. Mahomes gets landed on one of those football plays. You're surprised it doesn't happen more often, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And ended up with a high ankle sprain out of it. And so enter 97-year-old Chad Henne. And Chad Henne this is the reason he's been in the league for 19 years and, has held a clipboard for so long, because he does take the Chiefs down the field, an impressive long touchdown drive where he made several excellent throws. There was one that probably should have been picked, but still, they didn't change the playbook, I guess is how I would put it, when Henne came in. And we saw Mahomes on the sideline begging to go back in the game. And Andy Reid says later, you're not going back in until I see an x-ray. It was what we found out. And he was flipping out, right? That's what you want your quarterback to react like.
Sure.
Your thoughts on just the injury in the context of this game. Did you feel at that point that this game had changed, that it had the Russian is bleeding kind of moment? Is this what we saw here with this high ankle sprain, or is it more future repercussions, which we'll talk about later?
Yeah, I mean, I thought there was, it created more of an opportunity for Jacksonville, simply because, anyone who's hurt their ankle and has tried to do anything to put weight on it, and we're talking about regular people like us, not, a football player who's dropping back and, putting all his pressure on one leg. I thought that gave Jacksonville an opportunity, that you would see a more limited Patrick Mahomes not be able to throw downfield, which you did see. I mean, he
could not hit those touch passes, the
right.
floater out of the backfield, to the back, and a couple of Kelsey over the middles. He certainly could not hit those. And you don't think about high ankle sprain is usually a longer term injury, and in the short term you can play through it. But the way Mahomes plays with his feet so much, Dave, it really affected his throwing ability. But Jacksonville didn't blitz. I don't get it. You got the animal wounded, but you let it out of the trap, not to be vulgar, but go get him. Where's that mentality? I thought they really missed an opportunity there. How say you?
Yeah. And so I've obviously had folks having some trouble with my video, but you can still hear me.
Yes.
I exactly the case. I thought, so you would ask me before, what did I think? Yeah, I thought Jacksonville had opportunities. And I agree with you. They did not take advantage of that.
But they didn't try to take advantage, I guess.
Right. They didn't try to take advantage of. Yeah. Oh, definitely. They really should have, maybe press a little bit more on the receivers, especially so that to take away some of those short passes, because that's all that Mahomes could complete at that point. So yeah, I was disappointed with that as well. Jacksonville's a young team, though. They will learn from this, but they hung around. It got to the fourth quarter, Mike. It was close. They're driving down. Everything looks great. And, wasn't it Hasty that had the fumble at the 5-yard line? They're right there driving down, getting ready to make the game close. But as we know, with the Chiefs, certainly from the Bills and from others, you can't make those kinds of mistakes and expect to win the game. the Chiefs are just, regardless of, Mahomes being hurt, there's too much talent on the both sides of the ball for the Chiefs, that you just can't make those mistakes and expect to win. And the Jags, turned the ball over twice, and really, I mean, you could look at that, the 98-yard drive from Chad Henne, really as the difference in the game. And there were
absolutely.
plenty of opportunities on that drive for Jacksonville to, make some stops and do some things there. So, kudos to them, though. The Jaguars did play well. Again, they made some mistakes, but, it felt like the game was going to get away from them, and then they, got a nice touchdown and field goal. And, they kept it close, which I think is really great for them. Confidence booster. You see Trevor Lawrence after the game saying, we're going to learn from this, and, we're already looking at it, and, we're going to be back. We're going to be around. This is the goal. You see Doug Peterson saying that this is where we want to be.
No consolation prizes, but of the 4 teams that lost this weekend, probably the best effort, most positive step into the post or the off season with. But we'll go on. But also the youngest, like you said. Now coming into the game, Dave, Jacksonville lowest rated defense against tight ends, and Travis Kelce now cements himself, I think, where we have to start talking about best ever. With him, certainly his playoff numbers. Granted, he's got more opportunity than most. Are just staggering. He has 14 catches for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it just seemed like the most interesting play to me is one where he broke out towards the sideline and Mahomes threw the ball towards the middle, and they missed by about a yard. And it was so weird because they don't do that. That stuck out to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so let's digress real quick. Travis Kelce, all-time tight ends. Obviously, Gronk is in the picture. Tony Gonzalez still existed. I'm a Kellen Winslow Sr. guy, but that's probably a different type of athlete at this point to the 3 guys I just mentioned. Anybody else we need to consider? Kittle, Sharp.
You could put Shannon Sharp there. You could also put
not long enough. I'm Bavaro guy, obviously.
Right, underrated a bit. Jason Witten, all those years with the Cowboys. I mean, he's more of a compiler, I think.
But we're a step down from the guys we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean, I think it's you're looking at Gronk, you're looking at Kelce, Tony Gonzalez. Yeah, I think it comes down.
A compiler prolifically, though. Like Tony Gonzalez's numbers were awesome and long. You know what I mean? So some people would say he's a compiler, but guess what? It was compiling at a high level. So
yes,
don't downgrade Tony Gonzalez because he was healthy. Gronk was just a beast. You couldn't guard him when he was healthy. Kittle's kind of a little bit of both. He can block and, I don't know. So anyway, I asked you and then I just talked for 5 minutes. Go.
Yeah. No, you got it. I mean, I agree with those 3. I think if you look at Gronk, I think not exactly in the same light, but similar because of the, freakish body type kind of to LeBron James in the NBA, that he's just, nobody else exists with that kind of body type in his sport. And so he just ends up being able to dominate. Certainly not one of my favorites. Many a bad moment. You said
Jason Witten. I almost threw up right here on our broadcast.
But he's another one. Right. A lot of numbers, a lot of catches. My gosh, my video is just horrible tonight.
Keep swimming.
Yep, just keep swimming. But yeah, I think it's really it comes down to those few. I'm sure there's some others that were, missing here and there, but
Okay.
oh geez, the
So give
guy
me one.
from Antonio Gates from San Diego.
Yeah,
He's another
yeah,
one that's right
yeah.
there,
He had
maybe in
some seasons. Yeah,
the top five,
that's
six.
true. That's a name for sure.
But yeah, I think that's probably a good list.
Okay. One more big picture, and then we'll move on to the Giants game, which was next chronologically. Are the Chiefs at the point now, Dave, now that they're in the AFC Championship game, where they got to win another one? Like,
Yes.
okay, you won one, you're a very good football team. Mahomes is, maybe once in a generation or lifetime type football player. You
Yep.
gave him the big money. You got rid of Tyreek. You did all this to set yourself up for a dynasty. But now it's time, right?
Yes.
You said yes quickly before
Yeah.
I could
Oh,
elaborate.
yeah. I mean, look, it's, five AFC title games. I mean, they've been to 2 Super Bowls, right? So, you would say
right?
they got to get to a third one. They need to win, next week, and then they really need to win the Super Bowl. You just do the 5 title games.
Did 5 home title games. That's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's staggering.
Yep.
Truthfully.
Just speaks
Do
to
you
their
think the
regular
Bengals have their
season
number?
success. I think the Bengals have as good a shot as anybody.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
But I just wanted to shoot that in there. So, Dave, my Giants, I mean, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah.
This is the game I feared, 6 weeks ago. Yeah, the Giants staggered in the middle of the season. They played Little Sisters of the Poor like the Colts and those types on the the Commanders on the way out, and did what they needed to do. Don't get me wrong, and a little bit of fool's gold last week with the way we beat the fraudulent Vikings. Danny Dimes, and that's how the Vikings lost all year. Any quarterback that could throw, and even threatened to run. They just paralyzed and they could do whatever they wanted. And that's what the Giants did. Ultimately, they stepped up in class here, roster wise, and it just wasn't good enough. And we saw it, Dallas Goedert having a big game was as sure a bet as you could have made. In fact, I think the odds were so bad because I looked at it a couple of times. Just to put it out there, that it wasn't even worth putting money on. And sure enough, he did it too as Boston Scott, with the little troll touchdown at the end. Good for them. But it was just a different class of roster, and we saw it. Our wide receivers couldn't even be mentioned in the same breath with those guys. Our defensive backfield, while better when Adoree Jackson got healthy, just isn't as good as they were. But they dominated us on the line, and that's really what happened on both sides of the ball. We couldn't figure out how to help on the right tackle and still get everyone else blocked. So he got dominated. Even though he's a rookie, this is game 18 or 19 or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 20. Yeah.
Right, 20 plus preseason. So, not a rookie anymore, and he got manhandled over there. But that was their best bet is, help everywhere else and leave him one-on-one. The wide receivers didn't get open, and when they did, they dropped the ball. It was just, never really established Saquon too much. It was just bad from the beginning. And as soon as they went down the field, and we offered, as you said in your text, little resistance, and that was kind. It was clear that they had game planned very accurately, and they were just going to do what they did. If you asked me before the season which of my division opponents I hated the most, this certainly would not be on the top of the list. They're rapidly 1A. You know what I mean? Like, they're a little too. You won in 2017. Okay, so let's not act like you're supposed to be there. First of all, wouldn't it suck, Dave, if the Phillies lost, the Eagles lost in the Super Bowl, the Flyers lost in the Stanley Cup, and
the Sixers somehow make it
Sixers
to the
lost.
finals. And
Yeah, that would be terrible if all four sports teams lost. But
I literally can
that's all I can hope for, I guess. Otherwise,
hear the compassion and
yeah,
and
wearing Philly green, even though it was black.
In your voice.
Look, what do you think about
we saw this Eagles team, in the first regular season game against the Giants, and
we were on
not just us, but everybody. And we were on the Eagles in the preseason too. But that first game, I mean, they just throttled the Giants, and the Giants had no answers. Yep. And everybody thought, and us, like, nobody's going to beat the Eagles if they're going to play that way. And that's what you saw in this game. They won 38-7. There's not a lot of teams that would have been able to put up a lot of resistance against the Eagles the way they played in this game. The running game, Mike, just 44 carries, 268 yards.
Yep.
That's 6.1 yards per carry.
And three tutties.
Yeah. On 44 carries. I mean, normally you don't see the yards per carry stay that high with that many carries. And Jalen Hurts just throwing the ball enough, to make them, be able to move the ball. And it's a very, very talented team. And
I don't bring a lot of offensive line stats, but let me throw this while you're talking stats.
Sure.
Lane Johnson, who was injured coming into the game, and is he
had missed the last 2 games, I think, previous, right?
Right. Going up against Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yep.
Our super rookie coming out party,
been great.
Blocked.
Yeah.
26 times they faced up. Thibodeau, 0 pressures, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 anything. 0 penalties drawn. Wow. 0 for 26. Ouch. Okay, you're a veteran, you got some tricks. 26 times you got tricks. You know what I mean? That's domination.
Yeah. The way Thibodeau has played this year, you would have to say, even going up against the and the Eagles certainly have a good offensive line, but you would say he'd still break through for something.
Right. Get Hurts' jersey, dirty. But anyway, I cut you off mid.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just, the Eagles are just a very good team, and we'll get to their opponent that they'll host.
I said it before the game, Dave. It's hard for me to jump from 0 to 60 with Jalen Hurts. I know he's had a great season, but this was not that long ago. They were talking about evaluating him and Minshew challenging in spring training. Now they'll say that was all lip service, or in summer camp or whatever. And are they going to move forward with him? They made all these. He's got a few games to prove it. They made all these roster moves, and they'll go get somebody if it's not him. To Mr. All World, my shoulder's better. I'm not going to make any mistakes. I just don't. I feel like he's been put on a pedestal made of glass.
I was going to say newspaper. I don't know, cardboard, anything but an actual pedestal.
Right.
He's had a very good year. I don't think there's any doubts. His shoulder looked fine in this game. He had some nice throws. He's got.
I guess sell me on that though, Jalen Hurts. Am I ridiculous for my saying he hasn't proven anything to anybody and we're putting him on a pedestal, or am I just being a cranky guy?
No, I mean, I think, look, he's performed very well during the regular season. This was the first playoff game. He was serviceable, decent, and they won 38-7. He has got to prove in this next game. They're home. It's an NFC championship game. They're going to be playing against, you could argue, right alongside, I guess, the Eagles, the best defense in the league. Yeah, he still has to prove it. I mean, has he done a lot of things? Yeah, but we all know you got to have success in the playoffs. I don't. There were very few people who thought the Giants might win this game. Maybe put up a fight for a half, but this was a game that they were expected to win. This next one, though, it's going to be a toss up, Mike, and
Right.
that's where Jalen Hurts is going to have to prove finally to everyone, hey, my regular season was not a fluke. And that's what he's going to have to do in this NFC
I
Championship
just
game.
can't believe no one's put the pressure on Jalen Hurts to win the football game yet. We're too deep in the season, you know what I mean? But also I can't point back to a game where it was, Jalen Hurts coming out party either against a quality opponent, I guess. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of
Yeah.
blowouts against lesser opponents. I don't know. We'll move on for the sake of time, Dave.
Yeah.
And I know that you didn't want to get to this, but you let me go for a few bars with the Giants. So go ahead. Instant reaction here to your Bills and their loss 27-10 to America's new team, the Bengals.
Let's, the Bengals are a very good team. We've known this. We've been talking about it for weeks. They've just continued. They stumbled out of the gate a bit, got things together, got people healthy. Jamar Chase was out for a bit. Jamar Chase comes back. He's healthy. The Bengals, they had come into the game. They had won 9 games in a row. They are as hot a team as you can be, coming in at this time of the year, firing on all cylinders. And so, it was going to be a tough game. And like you said, the Bills had played a clunker a bit, played a good half ish against Miami total over 4 quarters. So, 2 good quarters, 2 not so good ones. But as I said to my kids, you don't want to play your best game the first game of the playoffs. You want to kind of build, so if you win and you don't play great in that first game, okay, you have some things to work on. Mike, I was so disappointed in the effort from the players in this game. I thought, the Buffalo got dominated every which way you want to look at it. I thought the effort, the Bengals wanted it more. The Bills got out coached. They had opportunities, I think, to press up. There was a bunch of times, second quarter and more third quarter, where Buffalo came up and put a lot of people on the line of scrimmage. More so than they ever do. They're bringing the pressure, and yet the secondary guys are 5 yards off the receivers.
Right.
And this is a situation where you're doing that rush to force Joe Burrow to make a quick decision, and yet you're leaving him multiple options on either side of the field. And for me, that's where they were getting out coached. You're just, and not good efforts either. So I was not happy with that whatsoever.
So you would put Leslie Frazier on the hot seat, even though a lot of people today are saying that this was more of the Dayball effect being gone and Ken Dorsey's on the hot seat. Certainly their unwillingness to try to establish the run, Dave. That's what really got me is, they got rid of Moss, who I thought highly of, but they had Cook and Singletary and 2-headed monster here, and they just didn't seem to even be interested. 19 rushes, and only 8 of them, or only 6 of them, are to Singletary, and 5, so 11 of the 19 rushes, for 63 yards, and it just, I don't know, it just felt like you got a home game in the snow and you're not going to come out and establish an attitude of running the ball. Especially, Josh Allen's not been playing great. I don't know. It just seems like the most obvious thing in the world for me to do. And that doesn't mean you should outsmart yourself and try to do something else. This is what you set up. This is what you want. Home game in the snow. Run the ball. Use your big arm quarterback to win it late.
Yep. And,
Didn't happen.
that's, what has made them successful. Now, the Bills had come in and won a bunch of games in a row too. What has gotten them there in this winning streak was the running game going. We've been talking about it for weeks.
Yeah.
And you come out, Cincinnati marches right down the field. Okay. Buffalo gets the ball, 3 passes, all incomplete.
Yep.
Done.
Yep.
Or not all incomplete, but 3 passes and
No
3 plays and out.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm with you. I wasn't crazy about the play calling. The challenge is they were close enough a couple times, and I said it to you. I said it to a bunch of other people that I had been texting with. It is all fine and good. We get to a point where, we put some stuff together offensively, and Cincinnati's getting the ball back. We never showed the ability to stop them. So I just had no confidence in that. And so that just made things really, really difficult. And they just couldn't do anything to stop them. And, I was getting really sick of Tony Romo saying, well, the field conditions, it's slippery, it's this and that. I don't want to hear it because it didn't affect the Bengals at all.
I don't know if you follow on social media enough. The world has turned on Tony Romo, but we'll get that later.
Yeah. So I just,
right.
For me,
The
don't say stuff like that.
I kept saying, change your cleats. And my wife was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So anyway.
No, I mean, they know that that's not it.
Right.
I saw an interview, a clip of an interview today from Matt Milano, and he just saying he was just really disappointed in the effort. And I completely agree with him. I said to a lot of people, you'd like to go out in your last game. I like to see, okay, if you get beat playing your hardest, that's fine. The Bills did not play their hardest. No 2 ways around it. I don't care what the players say. You could see it on the field. I've watched the games. They did not play with the same fire, the same aggression, all of those things. They came out tentative. They came out flat. And for a team, and again, they've been through a lot this year. We get that. But for a team who had Super Bowl aspirations to come out in a home game against a big time team and not put out that kind of effort is really disappointing. Now I've seen, whisperings, McDonough needs to go or McDermott needs to go, him too. No. Yeah. Sean McDermott's done a great job with this team and put them in a place where they are this successful. They've got to get over the hump. Certainly injuries bother them, but every team has injuries. So, I can say they have injuries, but I can't focus on that because every other team's had injuries, and every other team somehow, these other teams figure out a way to make things happen and get things done. And the Bills didn't in this game. Just very, very disappointing. No 2 ways around it. Never felt like they were in the game. It was never exciting. It's like watching paint dry, Mike.
I'm going to say some things that are going to hurt. And I'm sorry about that, but it's the truth.
Don't worry about it.
I care enough about you to tell you the truth.
Very good.
When we talk about the top quarterbacks in the league in this offseason and going forward right now, you have to say Mahomes, Burrow, Allen. Allen's dropped down a spot.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's just the way it is. There's no.
Yeah, I think that's fair. He's up against Burrow. He doesn't perform well. The fair amount. We've talked about the turnovers, the most turnovers of any quarterback this year. He's got some things to work on. There's no doubt about that. But they're still very, very talented. They're gonna do their best to fill in some things around, and we'll see what happens from there.
So which loss, same round, hurt worse? Yeah, last year's loss with Kansas City and 13 seconds and overtime and all that, or yesterday's loss to a
The
team.
Bengals.
Well, go ahead, the Bengals. A team that you should have been at least even with.
Oh, there's no doubt. The Kansas City game last year, because we had the lead at the end of the game. And because of the performance across the board, Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, because the game was so back and forth. I mean, this game yesterday was so one-sided. Yeah, it bothers me, but I mean, last year, we were in the same round. We actually took an extra day where we normally would have done the podcast Monday. We took an extra day because I was not prepared.
No, I remember.
I was not prepared to talk about that game the next day. Today, I'm fine. So no doubt the Kansas City game hurts, so much more.
Two more quick things, and then we'll go on to the Cowgirls elimination. Do you feel like the Bills are still, their window's still open? Where's the window, of playoff? Yesterday I made a statement on our group text that I'm starting to dislike the Bengals quite a bit, and Steve Gross asked why, and I told him, a quick answer, and then it said something about hurting the people I care about, which is true. But I feel like it's not the Bengals' turn. They're trying to skip the line, which is so stupid because there's nobody's turn.
Right.
But the Bills have been making this gradual climb, and you can watch the Cinderella story happening, and then we're not getting the payoff at the zenith. And the Bengals are jumping over that, and they're not doing anything wrong. They're supposed to. That's their job. But it just kind of pisses me off. As an old guy, it's really. If it was the Giants, I would be thrilled. But
sure, well, of course. No, I don't think their window has closed. There's a lot of talent there. That, they have players signed. It's not something like I heard somebody say. I think it was last night during the Eagles game that they've got 7 or 8 free agents on their defense after the season is over.
Yes. This is it for the Eagles.
Right. I mean, right. This is, their big push. You don't look at the Bills and go, oh, they got a lot of question marks and they got a lot of guys that are going to be, no, the Bills have done a really good job of building depth and signing guys and doing all those things. They're here to stay. I think, the challenge is, the AFC is
loaded.
Is just loaded. And so that makes things very, very difficult, and if you get, these vomiting things, but, Tom Brady, there's talk that he may go to the Raiders and, so you put another quarterback into the AFC mix,
Sean Payton goes to coach the Chargers, now.
Right. The Chargers or the Broncos or, wherever. It's just making it that much more difficult.
Another AFC, right. Reminds me of the NBA when Jordan was in the East, and it's like, and this leads me to my last question for you. Everyone spent time trying to beat Jordan, but there's so many teams that were so good. It seemed he never had a full-on rival after he beat the Pistons. It seemed like he just dispatched everyone else around the league. So I'm asking you, and I asked you this yesterday, and you disagreed, but I'm curious to get more in depth. Have the Bills spent too much time chasing the Chiefs and adjusting their roster, getting faster in the offseason, more pass rush was a big component of what they wanted to do, that kind of stuff. And two things happened. The rest of the division and conference got better, as we just discussed, and the Chiefs morphed into a different team, got rid of Tyreek Hill, got a little younger, and believe it or not, more athletic than they were with Hill. So It's kind of like Bills are chasing a ghost to me.
Yeah.
Is that inaccurate in your opinion?
Well, so things that I, responded to you yesterday, which of course our audience doesn't know until I say them right now. They went after, Von Miller, got him. Okay, he's injured. He didn't play. But the point is, they went after that so they could get pressure on the quarterback, whether that's Mahomes or not. Now, was it geared towards Mahomes? Of course it was. But you still need defensive line pressure. They have been trying to build their secondary after, that first, the AFC Championship game loss a few years ago, where they had troubles covering all the wide receivers. And, it's certainly that happened in the divisional round last year. They have gone out and built up the secondary. Again, they had a lot of injuries this year, but went out and got, Christian Benford, who played well until he got hurt. And Shakira Elam is out there, and, he played well for stretches. You need those. And when you look at the Bengals, they have, a great receiving core. You've got to have those people in the secondary. So I don't think they were chasing ghosts necessarily there. Were they focused on Kansas City? Yes, but you need those things to be successful in this league based on the passing games that go on. I think where, they need a little bit more help receiver wise. They got Shakir, and he's been hurt, but he performed well in the playoffs. Really, really curious about Gabe Davis. He had a very up and down year. Had some good plays in the playoffs, and they're talking about playoff Gabe and all of this, but he disappeared for long stretches during the season. They got Crowder, he got hurt. So they need to beef up their receiving core, if for nothing else, to continue to put more pressure on opposing defenses as far as that goes. But I think they're in a good spot. There's more that they need to do, obviously. Some depth at offensive line. They could use another one or two, good bodies on the offensive line to overcome injuries. But I think they're there. I think they're doing the things that they need to do. They have shown Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott that they have a good handle on what the team needs, and they've done a great job of going out and getting a lot of players. I mean, you can look back in their drafts, and a lot of those guys have been playing on both sides of the ball. So I think they're doing a good job. It's just
a lot of those guys just got pushed around in the snow at home too.
Yeah. Yep.
Whereas Basham and Russo and Oliver, all those guys are just should be embarrassed today.
And they should be, considering, we didn't even talk about this, but the Bengals missing 3 offensive linemen. You thought, the Bills D line would, you thought it'd be a huge advantage, and it was the exact opposite. And I don't know if they just read their own press clippings and thought they were just going to get in there. But it was a pathetic effort by the defensive line and all across the board. But I thought the defense in particular was horrible.
I concur completely. Just real quickly on the last game of the weekend, buddy. Dallas loses to the Niners 19-12. Dak does Dak things. He throws 2 interceptions. Should have been 5 by my count. 23 for 37, 206 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Pollard gets hurt early, and Zeke. Did you hang out for the last play of the game, buddy?
No.
Did you see the highlights today at all?
I did not.
So Dallas decides they're going to do the 97 lateral. They're down 7.
Right.
So you hear number 21 reports as ineligible, and they put Zeke at center, and they spread the line out so he's solo, and there's 2 defenders over him, and he snaps the ball. Good snap. give him credit. And, obviously they're thinking they can use him in the lateral game. They're going to be sneaky. And the two defenders just truck Zeke all the way back into Dak. And it's just a complete and total disaster. And Zeke's laying total yard sale on the ground, waiting for the offseason to jump into his Salvation Army kettle. But yeah, also real quick on that game, unless you have anything, that first kick by Brett Maher was not going to be good, by the way. It was dead left. It got blocked.
Yes.
And, spun out at the goal line, but it was dead left. And how about your boy Jerry Jones being on the field pregame, and Maher missed a couple in warm-ups, and Jones came over and gave him a talking to. It looked like a stern talking to as well. He's probably 3 martinis in, him and Larry Merchant.
Larry Merchant. Oh my
was my favorite boxing announcer as the night went on. That's the 3 olive system I got going, Jim.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Him and Jim Lampley. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no, the Tony Pollard injury was just a huge blow. Dallas just not able to really run the ball at all. That 49ers defense, Mike, is
it's awesome.
They're just ferocious. I mean, there were just, huge, just huge hits, and not the consistency of, a 2000 Ravens or, Legion of Boom and stuff like that.
Legally do that now.
But there were a bunch of those just
hard legal hits.
Yes. Hard legal hits. And that team's really good.
Is the universe just jerking us around with Brock Purdy? I mean, even the interceptions he's thrown get dropped, and it's just like wide receivers are wide open. I don't know.
I don't know.
Last guy drafted, Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, the movie title writes itself.
Yeah. Yeah, look, he's, and they put the stats up during the game, like how much better their offense has been, averaging. They didn't do it in this game, but 35 points per game with him in there. And it also, it coincides with Christian McCaffrey getting there now, and you look at, they're healthy. Elijah Mitchell's back, Deebo Samuel's back, Kittle is back. Kittle is, he's been on quite a stretch. What about that catch that he made over the middle that bounced off his hands, off his face, off his hands. And then he's about ready to get drilled and has the sense to bring the ball in just to get it away from the defender. This team's on a roll, Mike.
Did you see him in the huddle afterwards too? They had the drone camera overhead, and he's like mean mugging for the drone camera. Like he knows exactly where to look and at what time, when it's on and all that.
Yeah. Well,
nails the, the quick troll while he's going back to the line. But
that's how it goes. And so, Mike, then
bummer.
Conference championships.
Yeah, 3 of the 4, same as last year. Philly taking the place of the Rams. Overall, I think. Well, I mean, if the league had its choice of who gets to play in the Super Bowl, who do you think they want? What matchup would be their dream matchup? Chiefs probably on the AFC, right? Just for the
probably Kansas City, San Francisco, I would think, to get a good part of the country, but
I don't think they can go wrong in Philly. Philly's a rabid fan base.
Right. And if you look at, the size of the city, I'm not sure there's a bad matchup in there. As far as that goes, but
I don't know if Niners Bengals is going to get the average sports fan,
third time's a charm.
Yeah, I guess. Many years apart.
Yeah, but, many years apart. But no,
I said that, the average sports fan. We're going to be,
the Bengals, back in the Super Bowl for a second time. The 49ers have been knocking on the door. They get back. there's some compelling storylines any
Sure.
which way you go. I think, honestly, I
Rich
think the
and
NFL would be
competitive.
really, really happy with any matchup
Okay.
because you don't have a Cinderella team. I mean, you've got four of the best teams in the league, in the championship. And I think the NFL would settle for that, even though it is a parity league and you have seen a lot of different teams get in there. I think the NFL is thrilled with this. The lines are very low, Mike. Philly by 2.5 right
Yep.
now. And the Bengals, the road favorite by 1.
That's
Yeah.
got to be based on Mahomes' ankle.
Yeah.
Anyone know
Yeah.
anything about high ankle sprain? The worst part isn't even started yet. Probably
No.
not till tonight or tomorrow. It takes a couple of days. He's going to wake up thinking he's wearing a alligator on his leg. It's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. It was Mike, one of the only good things that came out of Tony Romo's mouth last night was his describing the high ankle sprain, the pain that Mahomes is going to go through, how difficult it's going to be as it gets on later in the week, and rightfully so. And I think he's on. Mahomes will play.
Percocet Mahomes will definitely be on the
but
field.
how effective he's going to be is going to be the interesting part.
Nothing.
Romo was right on that.
He didn't break stride when I said his name. Percocet Mahomes.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Niners Eagles. Then who do you like, buddy? Oof. Double dip Dave. Straight up and then with the spread.
Wow. Oh, if it's the spread, I might take San Francisco on that. Just because I think this is going to be a very close game. I really like the Bengals in the AFC game, straight up and the spread. I have a more difficult time straight up picking San Francisco and Philly. They're both playing so well. If I think it comes down to, Mike, what you said earlier, is somebody going to make Jalen Hurts win the game? And if San Francisco can shut down or limit somewhat the Eagles running game, that's exactly what's going to happen. And then we're going to see, can Jalen Hurts make the plays against that San Francisco defense? I guess I'm going with the road teams, Mike. I'm going to say San Francisco and I'm going to say Cincinnati.
I'm with you with San Francisco. I think it's going to come down, like you said, to a chess match between the coaching staffs of, like you said, keeping Hurts in the pocket and wanting him to throw, seeing if he can beat you, keeping the run down. And you just have the athletes to do it on defense. As you said earlier in the podcast, their defense is tremendous. So I like the Niners there. My only scary part is if it does get into a little bit of a shootout, Brock Purdy is not ready for that. He can play ball control and all that, but if they get down 14, 17 points in the third quarter, what kind of playbook are they going to call? The AFC game, I've been, Chiefs all year. The Mahomes injury obviously scares me quite a bit. I don't think that the Bengals have the Chiefs number as much as everyone likes to, say, even though they did have beat them 3 times. So, the results are what they are, but I don't know. I like the Chiefs in this game, assuming Mahomes is maybe 85 to 90% of himself. If he can move around in the pocket, not necessarily scramble, but, just move around, they'll be okay. If he's just stationary, he's still better than a lot of quarterbacks on one leg, but it's a different game, obviously. It might be trouble. But with that being said, again, Niners straight up and with the spread, and I'll take the Chiefs playing the one at home. I think if the Chiefs are going to win at home, it's going to be a full score.
Wow.
That's my analysis. Of course, that's why they play the games, Dave. We're going to find out, right?
Yeah. Let's just hope for two close games and no blowouts. This is a nice, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, two games. You really like to have them be close, compelling matchups, come down to the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game within one score. So let's just hope that that's what happens. I think that certainly is the possibility. Now, could any one of these teams blow the other team out? Sure.
Oh,
I
sure.
mean, that's why they play them, but you know, I I think
I'd be
that's at the bottom of
surprised
the
if the
list of
Niners
things.
blew out the Eagles. Of all of
Hmm.
the possibilities, I just don't see them unless they get like through a defensive score and a special team score.
Yeah, well, and if you
Um,
think this,
but
the couple of games that the Eagles lost were games where they had multiple turnovers, so
right, so maybe.
if that happens, it could. But um, yeah, I just think it's going to be two close games. But let's root for that. Um, and plus, that helps us here at Think Tank Sports because it gives us lots of storylines to talk about. I mean, we'll still have, hey, these are the teams going to the Super Bowl, but we'd like to be able to talk about some compelling games as well. So that's going to put a wrap here on the divisional round here for the NFL. And Mike and I
Yep.
will put our Bills and Giants gear away and get
Never
ready.
too far away.
Never
Yeah.
too far away, but start waiting for the sun to come up a little bit longer. And it's we're getting past 5 o'clock for sunsets now here in the east, and looking towards baseball season and the crack of the bat and the pop of the mitt as the ball hits in. We'll start thinking about
You're
Yankees.
not dialing on your Lakers season, buddy. My Celtics are
Yeah,
championship contenders, so I'm right there with
yeah.
that.
You do have the
Yeah.
Celtics. The Lakers, need to get Anthony Davis back. Should be this week, and we'll see how they play. Um,
How about your boy Shannon Sharp yelling at the Memphis
no,
Grizzlies and sticking up for his boy?
no
That's my
place,
quarterback.
no place for
Almost.
that. Shannon Sharp gets all. I had said this to somebody. Shannon Sharp gets all week to go out and yell at people. You don't need to step onto the court and do the same thing. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
All right,
my
wrap it up. Your video's killing me now.
yeah, my video is not doing great for some reason. So we will say goodbye here at Think Tank Sports. We hope you've enjoyed this NFL recap, and check us out on the socials and listen to us, download and subscribe and give us a rating, do all that good stuff. And we will be back at you with more content soon enough here at Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen as we strive for five.